Good morning. I'm higher vibrations and so are you. And welcome to this journey. There are a few announcements that I need to make really quickly. Um, on Wednesday, it is the anniversary of the Light Warriors group. The group Zoom meetings that we've been doing started on Tuesday, so February 22nd, and that was also the year 2022, and also that year it was on Tuesday in the week, so I thought that was really neat. So that Tuesday this week or this year it falls on Wednesday, and so as a result we're going to do a group meditation that day. We're going to go and to meet all of our chakras. It's going to be a cool meditation. You're all invited to join. I'll have a link in my community section for you to join that. That will start. The conversation will start at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the actual meditation itself will begin at 2:22 Pacific Standard Time on the dot. So anyone who is interested in coming, I ask that you be there promptly, and to know that at 2:22 we're going to stop talking and start meditating. And there's a couple of other, hello Heidi, welcome. Again, glad to see you here. There's a lot of stuff happening for us right now that's helping us in many ways. It may not feel like it exactly. We're having a whole bunch of energy move through right now. Good morning, Kuldeep. Hello, Mandolin. I'm actually having the same thing. There's so much going on with technology right now. It's for everybody. So that's kind of a thing for everybody to know. You're not alone. And as a lot of this energy moves in and moves through and helps us, we're increasing in our ascension symptom, at least our ascension symptom awareness, I would say. And there are a lot of cool planetary things that are occurring in order to really kind of have like an earmark or a proving point on that as well. So let me go over that quickly so we understand what's happening while people join in. Welcome, Details and Art, or Art Detail, Art and Tattoo, as well as RT Home. Hello. Oh, it's Jeff. Hey, how you doing? And Jackie, hello. Good to see you. This is a forecast for some of the cool things that are going to happen planetarily for March, though I really feel it already happening. A lot of us are already experiencing it. We're not on top of having these solar flares and all that, this earthquake activity as a result and stuff. March has a few things happening. So in March, Mars leaves Gemini and moves into Cancer. And so what's really cool about that is we're going away from action in words into healing and finding your tribe, your soul family, finding where you belong in this movement into this healing place, and when we are in a place where the ground is fertile for healing, a lot of us will notice, however, a lot of things coming up that maybe we hadn't looked at before, that we had kind of ignored or whatever, and in order to do our day, and it's just kind of still there. So a lot of stuff will come up. It's doing that because it's perfect time for healing. It's like, hey, by the way, now that the time is ripe, look at this. You want to check this out, and so that's a lot of what that's going to be like. Esther says, hello, everyone from Hungary. Wow, awesome. Welcome. Mandolin says she's a floater. I totally actually relate to that. Pluto is also doing something. Pluto leaves Capricorn and is going into Aquarius. And so this is the understanding of the experience of restrictions. We're moving away from this place of all these these restrictions that we've been actually experiencing since the beginning of 2020. That's when it first moved into that place. When Pluto first moved into Capricorn, it's leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. And so it's going to be something different. Like we're going to start having these restrictions, whatever restrictions you're noticing. Limitation is a better way of saying it. We're having a manifestation activation where our manifestation is coming much quicker. Our result for the manifestation is coming much quicker. And along with that, the limitations and restrictions. So there's a lot of 3D happening, as well as, we're moving into and experiencing both places. Edward says, hello, I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm experiencing my hands are vibrating. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Edward. I've been having that too. I'm not a practitioner in that form. I do healings and things like that. I don't know what to call myself, to be honest. I've been doing these one-on-ones and each one's different. I usually open myself up as a channel, and whatever needs to come through comes through. I'm having the same thing. Vibrating hands. I'm doing this because it feels weird to touch my hands anymore together. It's a very strange sensation. It doesn't feel like, and feeling our energy more, vibration throughout the body. A lot of that vibrational experiences in the face and just the skin in general, and really cool. So I just want to validate you. Yeah, Edward, and feet, soles of my feet. It's really funny. It almost feels like I'm barely touching the ground because there's this vibration sensation as if I'm not really putting my weight on the ground. It's very interesting. Lumi Forever says, does anyone experience cool breeze flowing from the center to the face? Yeah, at different times and not consistently. So for me, the cool breeze, what I'm feeling is the light and also energies and souls and things like that. Um, Light is cooler than the darkness. I don't know. Light has a cool sensation to it. And as a result, when we're pulling in more light into our body, we're also noticing our core temperature dropping, which has been really funny, especially in the beginning of this restriction stuff that we were having with the lockdown stuff. They started to take people's temperatures whenever they would go into certain buildings and things, and they would always comment, whoa, you're really cold. And my temperature base is around 93, 94. And that's just kind of, I'm noticing that happening. I'm having a lower and lower core temperature. I'm not typically overly cold either. I'm comfortable. That's just my temperature. And also, before I forget, and let me really quickly say Saturn, the third thing I want to bring up for March, Saturn leaves Aquarius, and it goes into Pisces. Did I say that one already? No, okay. Yeah, Saturn leaves Aquarius and goes into Pisces, and that's the restriction one that I meant to be talking about before. The Pluto was leaving, I'm sorry, I didn't take my notes very clearly. This is really amazing information. So let me just say, Pluto leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius. In that space, that's when the restrictions we're leaving the power that's left to the corporations. There we go. I found my notes. And then it's kind of being given back to the people. That's another point of this empowerment experience that a lot of us are having right now. We're all standing in our power. We're getting into that place where we're noticing that we are empowered beings of light. We are sovereign beings, and that we get to decide what we're going to have experienced. Like you can choose to remove consent to your simulation. That's what it really feels like when we do these things. It's like, no, this is not part of my timeline. And that's a choice that's made and respected by the energies. It's really cool. Sorry about that. My notes are really mixed up, like lines and stuff. Mandolin says quantum healer is appropriate. I don't know that. I think you're talking to Edward, so I'm going to let you. Lots of lucid dreaming. Hey, welcome, Stephanie. Good to see you. Lucid dreaming. Yeah, dream experience has been changing rapidly. Sleep as well, and the level of exhaustion in our physical form. That's something that's important to talk about right now, is that we are moving to this respite place. Okay, so we always have these spike. It looks almost like it's kind of a spike up just before a step, and that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to show you really quickly. There's this little spike, and then we have this plateau. So this is what we've been doing, right? We're here, and we've been doing all this stuff, and it's been amping up. And then there's this little spike right before this respite happens, this plateau, and we're here right now. When that happens, typically almost every time, there is that purge that happens, and I call it the shout before the flush. There's this like almost protest feeling, this energy of like, no, I don't want this to stop. Not you, but the things that are used to this being in this lower vibrational state, and it's moving into that space. So it's that last tug before we move into that next octave, and then at that octave we have a rest. I'm telling you this because that's what a lot of this profound exhaustion stuff is coming from, is that our body's already telling us, okay, now it's about time to sleep. It's time to get extra rest coming up. Please take advantage of that. When we're in sleep state, it's scientifically known as well that that's when we get the most healing, is that when we're sleeping or in rest. And it's not simply that our bodies are rejuvenating, like science tells us. I find that when I'm in a place of sleep or in rest, that's when the other energies and self-healing starts to really happen. And talking about self-healing now too, we're having a lot of auto self-healing happening, where it's just like you're noticing it's usually right before you fall asleep, or just almost disrupted to your almost dream space, where an area of your body will heat up, noticing heart palpitations usually around the same time, and then also like muscle spasm kind of stuff happening at that same time. That's self-healing. I've had some amazing healings of things that I just gotten used to about the body that I'm in, and it's resolved. And so just keeping that in mind as well. And along with that lucid dreaming experience, we're also at work when we're dreaming too. When we're that space that we're going to, it's not simply what we've been taught by science, that we're just kind of, processing things and synapses or randomly firing in our brain. We are having an astral or some type of similar experience where our soul is at work. So we're waking up more exhausted, often feeling like we need a nap from our sleep, and coming back with a lot more information, whether or not it's clear. I'm noticing a huge spike in my sleepwalking kind of stuff, where I'm waking up fully engaged in a group of a variety of different entities and energies and angels and stuff. And I mean, like actively. And then all of a sudden I'm awake. And usually that waking happens around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I've noticed that for that, if there's anything that I want to accept or bring any of that information in, I need to stay awake for a moment, or to take the audio thing on my phone out, and I'll do a quick audio message. It helps me to stay in that sleep state long enough to record that information, so I can have memory about it later on if I choose to. I find that if I try to write it on my phone, on a piece of paper, I need light, so it's going to wake me up just a little bit, and it's going to kind of rattle me out of my experience. And being as tired as I've been, I really don't want to lose any sleep. So that's a solution I have found. Thank you for bringing up dreaming. Heidi says, I have been feeling cold in certain parts of my body. Yeah. And where I'm noticing that more and more lately. And like I said, when we bring in more light has a cool temperature. We're going to feel that. There's a different kind of like all of a sudden, whoa, like cold, and it feels kind of icky in your stomach. A lot of that doesn't happen very frequently, though. What that is typically, it's an energy that is not in harmony with yours. And all you need to do in order to eliminate or to ask that thing to leave is simply remove your consent and send out light. And sending out light, what I mean by that is, think of the thing or the one that you love the very most in all of your memory. And the way that you feel when you're saying, I love you to that individual or that thing, that is the same. It's leaving your pores. I actually have a physical sensation of it when it occurs. You can feel it move to people, like it sends to them. And that is the most powerful experience that you can do. Like sending that out. If it is of love, it will answer back with love. That's the cool thing too. It will answer back with love. If it is not of love, then it will flee, for shadow cannot stand before the light. So that's just a little helpful experience, because there are those two different things about that cold temperature. So if it feels icky, and you can also, like I said before, you can remove your consent. You can say, I do not consent to this. You can say that to a physical person as much as you can to these other energies, and they will respect that. So it's just something very useful to have. And yeah, Jackie, we are sovereign beings. I love that. Suluna says, is anyone experiencing ascension symptoms, headache, jaw pain, feeling head pressure, hot flashes? I tend to feel better at night. Yes, and much more. I actually have a list of ascension symptoms. I had recently recorded a video, and then my daughter got sick, and then right after I got sick, and it's this time of month or year right now where every year they come in and do an annual like checkup when you live in apartments to make sure that everything's hunky dory, so the landlord isn't like being a slumlord or something like that. And as a result, I've been having to deal with a lot of this like loose ends. So I apologize for not having posted this video. It will be out to you as soon as possible. I apologize. And so, yes, in that we have the jaw pain, oral all around, but I'm noticing particularly, but just below my ears, there's a lot of ear stuff happening lately. Actually, physically, it's not like pressure or ear infection kind of sensation. It's there's something going on with the ears, and I do know that we have multiple chakras that are coming online, so that may be part of it. The headaches, there's a whole list of different kinds of headaches that are happening. Most of them are very brief, like fleeting, so that the headache only lasts for a short moment. However, the level of pain or discomfort that's associated with it is so intense that you could call it a migraine if it were more long lasting. And what I'm having in particular, a lot of this area. So if you could draw a triangle, an upside down triangle, this area is having the most difficulty. I'm noticing of dull pain behind the eyes. And what's cool about that is right after, so that started to happen a little while ago. And that dull pain turned into, I started to have like this purging of my eyes that's happened before, where it's not a physical, the thing that you're used to occurring. It's like this, some kind of a film. And then you're able to see more stuff after that. Like the perception around you, you can take in more. I don't know. It's like you can take in a wider variety of color that's more vibrant. So that's occurring, particularly around the third eye. So I'm just agreeing with you. Most often it is one side or the other, and it feels like there's like a band almost, and that can be a pressure moment that lasts a little bit longer than that brief moment I had discussed earlier. Hot flashes and cold flashes, and not even full on body kind of cold hot flashes, though that has been reported quite a bit as well. I'm noticing it where like areas of my body are all of a sudden a different temperature, and what I will do when in that, I will take a moment to accept, and not, again, with your own spiritual discernment, what that energy is, and so if it feels icky, send out love and do your thing. However, most of the time I'm noticing that I'm accepting it, and I'll put up my hands in accepting it and let this energy move through. I'll take a moment to close my eyes if I can. Sometimes you're, in a situation where, okay, I need to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, and what you're doing in there is meditating, and it works. And to accept that to let it move through the way that it needs to, and like upgrade kind of stuff starts to happen. We're having a lot more psychic and all the clairs coming online in a more advanced way than people had been familiar with previous. And yeah, at nighttime, that's when we're doing the healing. So thank you for that comment. I lost my spot. I just jumped. Okay, here we go. Amy says, I do not feel like doing anything, and I'm not lazy. Yeah, me too. That's part of my difficulty that's been with this stuff lately is that I'm not. There's a lot that I want to get done. It's simply that my body doesn't want to move that much right now. That's what's going on. And it's not that I'm feeling overly ill or anything like that. It's just that it's my body wants to be in a place of rest, and one of the biggest, most important things I would suppose is this learning how to listen to my body. My body's been telling me for a long time what it wants and what it doesn't want, and I'm trying to figure out, and listen to it. And some of that is taking a rest, so Paratrooper 73 says, I thought for a long time that the Ascension symptoms were very busy with me. Turned out I had a vitamin D3 deficiency. These have the same symptoms. What a convenience. Lost 70% of my hair. Wow. Well, I am so happy that you found that out. That is a point to be made that, there are a lot of things that we discuss that could really be solved through just going in and getting a regular checkup with your doctor. I'm totally think that's a really good idea. If nothing else, it validates your ascension experience. That's what I have found. Though, there are other things that are associated with some of these symptoms. So thank you for saying that. And a lot of us do have different vitamin deficiencies these days, particularly, in the winter times where I am in the world, there's been a lot of clouds and not very much sun, as well as, not as much barefoot time on the in the dirt. And so there's a lot of vitamins that we absorb through the soles of our feet. The pores on our feet are the biggest pores of our body for a reason, and so there's a variety of things that we can do. One of the things I always do is I bring soil into the house during the winter months. So I will put my feet on top of it while I'm just chilling, hanging out with my kiddo, or we'll play with it with our hands. 5 minutes a day with your feet, 10 minutes a day with your hands, or every other day, whatever feels correct for you. Because the pores on your hands are smaller, so it takes twice as long, I would say, based on my experience with this. I've been practicing this for a long time, and I came across it on accident. Just I like to garden, and it was a way to try to get out of seasonal depression, and it worked. And then I found that there's a whole thing about that in the psychology world. They call it earthing, and so there's a lot of information online about that if you're interested in looking into it. And yeah, please check on, be aware of your body and what your body needs. That's another point too, is that our bodies have been craving things that we don't typically eat. That's been happening for a while for me. I've been slowly leaving a typical diet that I had before. I was a carnivore. I ate a lot of like fast food and things like that. And I'm not judging anyone for doing what I'm not doing. My body started to say no. I started to reject these things more and more. I started to become ill, very ill, when I would eat certain things. And then I got diagnosed with a meat allergy. And it's fun to hear how many of these doctors that are talking about that the main portions of the population are all of a sudden getting these different, like, allergies is what they're calling them, to various foods. Our bodies are saying no more, please. Let's try something different. And so our bodies are reaching out and looking for other things. And that's why a lot of this new diet and weird cravings are coming in. And Jackie says, I have been so exhausted and solar flare dizzy. The solar flares have been amazing. There's so many of them. And places that typically don't get aurora borealis or the northern lights are seeing them. I would have if it wasn't for the clouds. Whenever there's something cool to look at this past 3 years, whenever there's been something cool to look at in the sky, we've had clouds. It's a thing. And I'm very much inland Washington State. So it doesn't have anything to do with being in the Pacific Northwest. It's really irritating. It's okay though. So yeah, there's a lot of activity that way. Star Traveler says, I don't want to be profoundly tired. Things are changing, amping up here in Canada this week, and I have to stand up, and I don't know how I'm going to do so. I would say, this is my experience and how I interpret those kinds of things as they come through for me, is that I'm being asked not to, and I don't know what exactly it is that you're discussing at this time. However, if there's a lot of resistance to something, that's usually, for me, in my experience, somehow it's saying no, not right now, or there's something better for me to be doing at that time. So take that how you would like. I agree with you. However, this being profoundly tired thing is really getting old. I've gotten used to it. I've gone back to drinking coffee. It dehydrates my body so much. It feels like I just swallowed a sponge. And so I stopped drinking coffee because, I mean, we already have this amazing thirst right now. We're drinking more and more and more water. And having coffee in my life I can tell that it's causing disharmony. However, I'm just so tired, and there's soccer mom things that need to be done, and so, yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited for the time when I feel rested all the time. Stephanie, she says, gentle reminder, thumbs up helps the channel. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. It's true. It really does. And by the way, thank you for all the new subscribers. There's been so many more people coming in. And that's another point to be made as well, that we are having a huge burst, a wave of awakening individuals right now. And as a result, a lot of us who are already on this awakening journey are finding these bursts of anxiety, panic, even the brief and fleeting sensation of impending doom. This, oh my goodness, what that is these people, our soul brothers and sisters, are coming online. They're waking up. And when they're doing that, it's connect, connect for you and for all of these other individuals. And so now we're connected, and they may be having their best day ever. For you, having slowly raised your vibration higher and higher and higher, to dip down even slightly, beyond where you had been before, still feels very good, and it's not because un it's not a good thing. It's simply that you're feeling into somebody else, and that's happening a lot. Not to mention, a lot of individuals, just like you and I, when we wake up, we go, oh my goodness, they've been lying to us this whole time. Oh no, all of this stuff. We need to tell everybody. Everyone must know, and what they're doing. And that's happening across the board right now. Even individuals who you would consider muggles are full on going, what the heck has been happening? What have I been accepting in my reality for how long? And so we're feeling a lot of that. And Edward says, I've been using infrared and near infrared light therapy, and it's working. Thank you for that, Edward. I love hearing solutions, and there's lots of ways that we can assist ourselves in these experiences. Jackie says, I had zero brain yesterday. Yeah, like cotton brain is kind of what it felt like. It was like it's there. Details, art, and tattoo says, cold hands all day yesterday. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier too. And also the vibration in the hands as well as the sole of the feet. And for me, and I know a lot of other people are feeling this too, not just the vibration in the face, like that's been a thing for a little bit, and noticing it feels like hairs are kind of being moved, and when there's no wind or any kind of reason that your hair would be moving for any other reason, as well as a vibrational space in your core. We're noticing it a lot in like the womb area, also, the place that we manifest from. So there's a lot of that manifestation energy coming online. And so that vibration's happening. I'm noticing too that when I settle myself and I try to find that 0 point, that I will vibrate all the way down through all of my chakras. You can feel it. And things nearby, I'll have a book next to me because a lot of times I have channeling to do. And it's vibrating too. My body is shaking just enough that it's causing things to, so it's not just a sensation in my closed eyes, in my mind, so very interesting. Let's see. Mandolin says, I gave my higher self the task of having me record the dreams before I wake. Awesome. That is a very good idea, Mandolin. Thank you for sharing that wisdom. Star Traveler says, I think that happened to me. I tried saying I do not consent. Awesome. Good job. There's a variety of ways that you can do that. If you find an experience that occurred and you weren't able to conjure the ability to remove consent in the moment, that happens a lot. Like we're just so involved in the overwhelming sensation of that emotion that sometimes we can't do it. You can remove your consent after the fact for any future interactions that are similar or anything that is not of your highest joy. Your highest good is another way you could say it. I tend to say my highest joy. That feels more correct for me. So whatever wording it feels good for you, and that will help you. You setting out. It's assumed consent unless consent is removed, is what it comes down to. That's why a lot of people are talking about removing soul contracts. I don't really buy into the soul contract wording exactly, because they are agreements rather than contracts. A contract feels like it's binding, that there's no way out of it, that there's, you committed to doing this for this duration or whatever, when it's actually an agreement. So you can retract your agreement. You can remove your consent and simply in this space, set up the intention. I remove consent for all interaction from all entities above and below me that is not for my highest joy. And this space is mine and mine alone. No one may enter except upon invitation. And that includes interfering with you in any way when you say that. And that is taking back your power, because you are a powerful being of light. You are a sovereign being who is capable and able. And for the longest time, a lot of things have been happening with us that have just kind of been kind of sneaking it under the door kind of a thing. And now it's time, when we're done feeling those kinds of ways, to say no. Saying no is in a variety of different ways too. For the longest time, I thought that it was unkind to set a boundary and keep it to people. However, watching over and over again the destruction of the experience when it was occurring, you know, feeling like you wanted to stop doing certain things that you do weekly as a result of this clash, and instead setting that boundary is just like Neo in the Matrix when he puts up his hand and says no, and the bullets fall. That's what we're doing. No, you don't have to be rude about it. We don't have to be unkind. Simply saying, I do not consent, ends consent and all activity, therefore. So it's really cool. Tangent. Let's see. Esther says, cold hands and cold feet. Yep. Also, the other way, not just cold, hot as well. The soles of my feet heating up. We're still in frigid temperatures here. It's been a very strange season for everybody, it sounds like. However, my feet are so hot that I'm constantly like cooling them off and stuff. And, the same is happening for my hands. And then all of a sudden it's cold, so this is just a thing that we're going through, and so much that I actually checked to see if I was going through early menopause or something, because, a lot of guys are going through this stuff too. That's really reinforcing for me, or validating for me, that men are experiencing it, men who don't go through menopause, and so it's very interesting. Let me go. I jumped again. Here it goes. Eric says, I like to comment on how people are relating to each other. Some people have no idea what's happening. I'm finding myself talking less and trying to get anything from anyone. It's not depressing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, there's and an accepting of the information, like the energetic kind of stuff. I was always, I'm not always, I feel like many people looked at me like the crazy garden lady, and what's been so strange and awesome at the same time is watching all these people coming to me that kind of used to give me a little bit of a wide berth when I started to talk, because I don't talk about, I talk about the weather. That's the most, typical conversation that I'll have most of the time. It's awakening kind of stuff. And these people that, you would consider muggles, is the way that Guardian of Orion refers to the non-magical folk, or the people who aren't in the awakening. These individuals that I had, put in that category in my mind, which I really shouldn't have done anyway, are starting to come to me with questions, wanting to know about crystals, wanting to know about planetary alignments, wanting to know what a dream means, and talking about ascension symptoms. It's been really awesome. More and more people are coming in and accepting this information. When they first revealed that UFOs were real in the government, I expected that to happen. However, I expected that there would be like this big, like, oh, really? Oh, like people freaking out or whatever. And everybody that I talked to were like, yeah, I know. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, you guys locked me up for talking about spaceships and aliens, and so that's back when I was a teenager. And that early experience, though, it's the same thing's happening now. People are accepting the information very easily. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 right now, and that's good. It's really good. I'm glad. I also kind of expected a parade, so that's okay. It's supposed to happen gradually. That's what I've been getting a message of for a long time, is that the more gradual that this occurs, the better for everybody. The shock any kind of shock presented will eliminate its individuals from being comfortable and on this journey with us, right? And so we're trying to eliminate that shock. Again, going back to that movie, The Matrix, I get this visual a lot. I should watch The Matrix again. It's been quite some time. Anyway, is that they're like, oh, he's gonna pop, and they gave him too much information too quickly and too when he was older or whatever. And it kind of feels like that kind of idea, that not the age part though, simply sharing too much too quickly can, eliminate individuals. And that's not what anybody wants. They want everybody to come along happily and be great, so that's why it's coming on so gradually. Let's see, I lost my spot again. Thank you all for being here. This is really fun having so many comments to talk about. That too, different temperatures. Yeah, exactly, Star Traveler. Eric says, yes, my eyes are not right too. And something else about your eyes, Eric, too, and anyone else that's having this happen. I was noticing that it kept seeming like things were going in and out of focus. I was losing focus. And so I went and got an eye checkup. I was like, well, maybe I need glasses, and I don't have glasses or contacts or anything like that. And they were like, no, your eyes are great. Anyway, a little while later, I realized as it's happening, because of some of the things that I was seeing, what it is that when I'm in that zone, that 0 point while doing your day, like when you meditate and come to your center enough, you can start doing that while your eyes are open and just being in peace and just enjoying the place. Just being in that place of love while you go about your life is really fun. And doing that, I would be raising my vibration. And what I was doing was, so when we raise our vibration up, we don't actually just go up like this. It's not a very, what it is was we fluctuate, we move up like this. And while I was doing this, I was slowly getting closer to something else that was vibrating at this frequency. And now they're starting to come into view. And we're seeing more energies. We're seeing more light beings. We're seeing things that are provable, which I think is awesome. Other individuals, children are pointing and noticing, and I'm able to see, and so that's what was occurring. So anyone having that experience, perhaps that's something that maybe you're having an experience with as well. So details and art, sorry, I always say it wrong. Details, art, and tattoos says, ringing in ears sounds like constant ring bell with frequency that I've never heard before. Downloads. Yes. That's a really great point. So there's a couple of different ways or reasons that these octaves or these ringing in our ears are occurring. And I've noticed a variety of different ways to engage in that. So some of them are like messages, like a voicemail. And that's why sometimes it's like this whole orchestra of octaves, this beautiful sound. There are different frequencies all inside of it. And if I take a minute to kind of focus and tune into a single frequency, it's like I'm listening to a voicemail that I hadn't listened to yet, right? And that frequency no longer rings after I've got the download from it. And that, you'll go through and find that there's a variety of ringtones that are in our ears that have been happening for quite some time. So there's a lot of messages to listen to. And the other thing too is that some other kinds of rings that we get in our ears is that when we're reaching up higher in frequency, I noticed it, especially at that time, when we raise our vibration just to a certain point. And at that point, when I'm in doing the meditation, I'm usually in some type of like remote viewing or astral place. And I'm seeing that what's happening is that's the connection point to my next higher self. And so when I'm raising up and that bee happens, it's like connect. And so that's another experience of that. There's another thing too, is that a lot of times we'll hear these tones when we're having a solar flare, an earthquake, and or a Schumann resonance. Often those things are happening all together. It's just something that tends to be commonly in occurrence. And I don't know if that's one of those what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of things. I do know that when we're having the solar flares and things like that, we're hearing the ringing as well. Is that because it's the light's coming in and helping us to raise our vibration? Perhaps. So it's just an interesting observation. Thank you for bringing up the ringing in the ears. A lot of times also that the ringing will come in and it'll cause a little bit of a dizziness, a disorientation even, just kind of need to sit now. That's okay. Let yourself sit. There's been times where I've been walking in the middle of doing something. And it's like, I'm going to sit down now because I feel like I'm going to faint. The dizziness is just a thing. There's nothing that's diagnosable for me physically. I'm in perfect health. So it's just something that's happening, and it always happens, it seems, around a solar flare time, the ear ringing and like, okay, dizzy. And a lot of people are having it too. Cool Deep says, unplug your roots from 3D Earth and plug your roots in to 5D Mama Gaia. Aho, 100%. That is something that a lot of us are going through right now, is that removal from our energy of what we had learned to expect in our reality. As the world that we are in is actually, you're on New Earth. Like, that's the thing. It's we're there. There's every reason to know that that's true. It's simply that we have learned to collectively expect and anticipate a reality, and therefore we as a group have been manifesting that reality to be in the frequency that we're in. And so now, as we're starting to realize that, we're pulling away from that. Just like Cool Deep said, we're removing one root at a time. It feels kind of like you're pulling away Velcro, and there's that resistance. And like I've said before, there's always a shout before the flush. And so it's like when something is leaving that is no longer in harmony with your frequency, there's that last minute, never mind kind of feeling from that energy, even though it knows it wants to go. It wants to go just as much as you're ready to go in your direction too. It's simply, that's what it's known for all of this time. And so when you feel that quick rush of panic at the end, just before it's complete, no, that's not you. That's not warning. That's not your intuition saying, don't do this. That's how I took it for a long time. It is me empathically experiencing that energy that we're leaving behind and letting and releasing so it can go on and do its next thing. So thank you for bringing that up, Cool Deep. Mandolin says, eyes. If your frequency is raising, you are starting to perceive things human physiology can't detect. Look with your third eye. And that has been something that's been so beautiful, is we are not sure half of the time if we're using our physical eyes or our third eye. I'm still at that place where I mix them together. Like, I'll see a spaceship speck in the sky, I'll see a UFO, and then I want to look at it closer, and all of a sudden I can see it in a really detailed way. And then when I go to take my phone to take a video or something, I realize that, and it's not just because my phone, I'm lining it up and I'm realizing with my physical eyes that it's just a speck in the sky. And so there's that, not sure what part is what, and just allowing yourself to go with it. When you ask and with the intention to do it, it will occur. It's pretty cool. Thank you for bringing that up. And Gary says, I have noticed extremely cold, full body extreme cold. I am aware of energy moving through like a wind tunnel of energy. Sounds somewhat similar to what you just mentioned. Yes, exactly. We are a conduit. That word Mandolin gave me. And it's so true. We are a conduit. We're like this tube. We're this pipe that this energy is moving through. And what's occurring is a two-way movement, is the energies that are no longer in harmony with the new earth paradigm that we're in now are vacating. And some of these energies have wanted to go for quite some time. They've just kind of been a caged animal, basically. And then at the same time, we're pulling in more light. So we're passing through like this. And yeah, it's moving through us. It's a very unsettling sensation at first. The sensation's unsettling at first when you don't know what it is that's occurring. And allowing yourselves to send love to it as it leaves helps it, just so you know. And again, like I said, pulling in the light from God into our body through whatever chakra feels correct. Sometimes it's the crown, sometimes it's the heart chakra or the throat, whatever's correct for you. And then filling that light out and sending it out like you're propelling it, guiding it with a wave of love, as a way to help it and to kind of make that sensation, that experience, to be less uncomfortable for you. Jackie says, I still go out for walks in nature to ground, but have definitely been resting more. Yeah, lots more resting required right now. And then just like I am says, and then can't sleep on top of it. Need to rest. It's really a bizarre experience for me. I feel like I'm a teenager again, or like a little kid not wanting to go to bed. even though all day long I've been looking forward to going to bed. And then finally, when I can find my kids asleep, I can go to sleep. I'm awake, and they'll have tears running down my face. Yet I'm just making myself stay awake. Why? I don't know. And then I finally get into bed. I can sleep usually. However, I'm up about every 2 hours. And it's not because I have a overactive bladder or something like that. I just wake up, and it's like, okay, here we go again. Of course, the 3 a.m. thing always occurs. However, I'm just getting annoyed by the disruption. Spontaneous laughter. Thank you for bringing that up, Edward. Laughter and crying are both releases that are occurring across the board. People are healing through things simply by releasing it. A lot of um, restriction has been put on to a lot of individuals regarding crying, including myself for quite a few years. Just all of the stigma associated with what it is to be somebody who cries or something like that. Holding it in for so long that when I would cry, I felt like I was hungover the next day. My face was swollen and just unhappy. And to now, I cry all the time. I'm always crying. I'm crying in joy. I'm crying in laughter and spontaneous laughter. That's another way to release. If you cannot allow yourself for one reason or another, there's a limitation there around crying. Laughing. Laughing really helps that release, is so healing. And then you can get back to your own energy again. You're back in that space where you're just content and good to go. So there is a lot going on with that. Thank you for bringing that up. Deb says, is there a video about your NDE? I've only mentioned it in passing a few times. I could do a video on it. If I've had a few of them. The one that occurred first was when I was the day before I was 4 years old. There was just a lot of information that came to me at that time. Everybody has their awakenings early on. I think everybody starts awakening when they're a kid, just like I did, and then just like I did, choose to kind of assimilate and blend into society, not so much to hide yourself, but so you can participate. And I'm glad that I did. There's a lot of things that I got to experience in this spirit having a human experience rather than a human having a spiritual experience, and to allow us to do high school and things like that. And so, however, then we have these phases of awakening. Then we keep more and more comes in, and before you know it, it's like, yeah, there's no more ignoring it. We're here. In that near-death experience that I had when I was so that young was when I got to see the process of choosing life. And so the plan is that I was supposed to die at that time. That was the plan. There was a series of events that were going to occur within those involved, and that was just how it was going to be. And then I would come back, and what I understood, it would be 8 years from that time that I would be coming back as a little girl in Tibet. Anyway, I'm dying. Here I am. And there wasn't a tunnel. There was a beautiful light, but there was no tunnel, and I didn't have the tunnel experience in any way. From what I understand, that's the karmic loop. When you see a tunnel, and I was given the choice to stay, and that this one would be really, really hard. And they were like, okay, it felt to me like a video game. Like I just completed playing the first level of Donkey Kong Arcade, and now I'm going to take on the task of beating the most advanced video game that we haven't even made yet now in 2023. And it was exciting though. It was like, okay, here we go. Let's do this. And in that process, it was time to pick the trauma. There was a lot of trauma that was there, a lot more than it felt like there should be. When each of us come in, we pick trauma to heal through. So when we do heal through it, we're healing that parcel of trauma that has affected many generations, many lifetimes, many other individuals on this experience. And so there's all this trauma, and we pick it. It's not because we're being unkind to ourselves. We're doing it in service of humanity. And I felt like I was being really arrogant, and I picked a lot of trauma. And I remembered that over and over again as each one of these traumas occurred in my life as I continued to grow and evolve in a human form. And And I was very angry at myself for having made that decision. Anyway, that's very useful to know that as we heal through it and as we look at it, we are releasing the energy of that trauma too. You're not simply doing the service to those who were affected by the trauma, but the trauma itself is a consciousness of sorts. And we're releasing that energy. We're allowing it to go to where it needs to go by being seen. And that is what Archangel Michael's message is. And I say it all the time, but it is to acknowledge it without judgment and to release it with love. To judge something isn't simply to apply a negative understanding of it. It's investing in it. It's collecting it and owning it. It's connecting to the label of it and saying that this is part of who I am, or simply researching it, which is something that I have to work on not doing on occasion. Because some of these flashes of these past life experiences that come through are interesting to me. I want to know, though. I need to not give it judgment and to let it go, to release it. And the gratitude and the appreciation and the love and the thanks that swell over you when you release that thing, I see you. You're real. You happened. And I appreciate you. Thank you for your service and taking us this far. And now it's time for you to go. With love, goodbye. And then just, whoa, thank you. And the energy gets to move. And then planetarily speaking, we move up an octave. You feel the click. And everybody starts to report, wow, something really cool happened. They all feel it. And so it's just a really cool thing. I will thank you for your comment, Deb. I will consider talking about that story a little bit more in depth. It's quite a long story. I guess that's probably why I haven't brought it up as that much, because I didn't know if anyone was interested. Esther says, my eyes today, my neighbor's head became so big as she was approaching me, as if I was looking through a microscope. I had to move my head back suddenly like an eagle's eye. That's really cool. That does sound like your third eye coming online, for sure. That's going to happen more, I think, and we're going to continue to understand it as it comes through. That's really cool. Thank you. Star Traveler, great to see someone else saw it too. I just removed my comment because a lot of channels don't want other channels mentioned on their video. I don't want to upset anyone or this channel. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes. Yeah, I don't mind if you mention someone else's channel. You know, if someone posts something that is unsavory on here, I'll definitely remove it. I don't mind though. I think it's beautiful that all of the YouTubers and the higher vibrational state are connecting and we're sharing each other. I think that's a good thing. So thank you, and please feel free. Feet burning. Yep, that's right, Lisa. We were just talking about that. And then cold also. Really interesting having these back and forth things. There's comments to each other. Star Traveler, are we meant to decipher the ringing messages, or are they just frequencies to integrate energetically? When you integrate them energetically, you decipher them. At least I do. And so you're not meant to understand it exactly. It just absorbs, kind of like, it's like osmosis. It's a sponge. Like you're in the energy and it just kind of moves into you and kind of becomes you, like when you merge with higher selves. Just that collection of energy finds its completion. So just, yeah, lean into it, I guess is what I was trying to say before, is that lean into it and listen specifically to it, and then it will start doing its job. It feels like it's some form of consent. An unanswered message is to give consent to it, or answering an unanswered message, I mean. I don't know if that makes any sense. And that perhaps has something to do with me choosing to remove my consent across the board, except for when I declare I'm giving my consent. And so everyone has their different experiences. Let's see. We're about to close up. I got a couple more minutes, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Trudy says, so helpful to hear that others are feeling the same things physically. Also, auditory things happening. When dropping into meditation, I'm feeling pressure on my eyes lately. Yeah, that the pressure on the eyes has been a symptom a lot of people have been reporting. I've had it very slightly. it feels though, not if to me, from my experience, what it actually feels like is it feels comforting. At first it's, whoa, what's going on? But it feels actually like, this is going to sound silly perhaps, an angel's hand is actually on my eye, like this, like cupping my eye. And it doesn't feel like it's taking something away, but it's helping balance. And then that's happened on the other side. um, my younger one complained about it not too long ago as well. um, she wasn't too bothered by it. It's simply that it was happening and she was like, what's going on? And she's someone's hand is on my face, and so perhaps it's happening to a lot of other individuals as well. um, I think it's very reassuring to me. So feel into the energy. If it doesn't feel correct to you, you can choose to remove the consent. Bloated, lots of stuff with the bloating stuff. I haven't had it very incredibly recently. um, it's like a Buddha belly that's full of air. There's actual science behind. I don't know if it's really, I'm calling it science. There's a way to understand it. This is science to me. It's very spiritual. Is that um, I understand it going out of my physical form. You can have these interactions and exchanges with energies and get some information. And when we remove a density from ourselves, so we've had this team body for a long time. All of these energies have been helping us, helping each other. And now that we're raising our vibration, some of these energies are no longer in harmony with us. So they're leaving, you know. And so when they leave, it's interesting because something that's, I'm just making a random size, something that's that big energetically, that's a density, tends to take up this much room with air. When it leaves, it fills with air. It's very interesting. And so when we're having a lot of this stuff leaving, we're noticing a lot of gas and bloating, a lot of like Buddha belly is what a lot of people have been describing it as. And so the solution to that is you can either actively do it or just let it happen over time, because it's occurring right now while we're talking. Is that light moves through you, and when that space, when that void is filled with light and replaced with that, it takes up less space than the density did, by the way. Then the air moves out, and that's when we're having a lot of burping and like lower burping, I think is the word that Jackie used for it. That was really funny. And yeah, so we're having a lot of air moving out through us, and when that happens, so to take in that light with intention, specifically when we're having these solar flares, as we're lined up with the Syrian sun, it's amplifying all this and giving us all this amazing upgrade energy. So that might help. Kuldeep says, I tried that last night, and when I connected to 5D, it was so beautiful. Very pure energy. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Kuldeep. What a beautiful place. And it's just all love. It's just all love. All the conflict and drama and stuff just doesn't even have a word there. It just doesn't. It's so cool. Uh, Sun says, I had extreme anxiety on Friday. Friday was a thing for a lot of individuals. There was this energy moving through, attempting to cause disruption for a lot of energies, a lot of people. So to validate you, that was occurring for a handful of individuals. Hey, Jacques Aranda Marie, hello. Just able to pop in real quick. Sending loads of love to you all. So glad you chose life. Oh, thanks. And so am I. Now, I was very angry at myself, as we all do. I went through my depression period just like everybody else. We all, like, at some point it seems like we go, why am I here? What am I doing? Why did I choose such density? And when we come into our physical body, the feeling of like the sensation of gravity, and just all of a sudden we don't realize our body is in a constant state of pain. And it's not supposed to be, by the way. We're moving into a place where that's actually changing, where we had been for a while intentionally, without realizing it fully, there is energies that were had the intention of causing that, for us to be in that density place, and and making us out of harmony, out of sync with our bodies. And now more and more people are noticing backward aging sensations. Um, all of a sudden waking up and gray hair being gone. What's been funny is I have a few friends who'd like to dye their hair, And what's happening to them is they're waking up and the dye is gone. Not only is their gray hair gone, but they're waking up and it's their body's like, no, dude, you're not going to have black hair. It's blonde, So that's been really interesting. What I've noticed is that my body has been more in alignment. I feel more clean, and it's not simply because of the diet change. That's been happening for years for me. It's and I my any kind of wrinkles that I had before are moving away. Um, all that kind of stuff is it's been really fun. And a lot of individuals are having this happen. So just to let you know, a lot of us are noticing it. It's really bizarre. The first sign that I noticed it was actually the reverse. It's my hands, the fingers that on this side of my hands were actually really, really wrinkly all of a sudden. It wasn't that I was soaking in the bath for a million years. I just all of a sudden my hands were so wrinkly and it was strange. And then over the course of like 4 days, it completely reversed. And then other things started to reverse as well. And it's happening slowly and gradually, like all of these things that are occurring. Remember that the symptoms that we're having can be easier managed if we put the intent of turning it down. You don't have to be on full overdrive for this to happen, for this to help you. Like what I do is in a place of like meditation, where you close your eyes and just be in yourself and visualize is what I do. A knob, like a radio dial from an old radio. I always say that looking down at I have a very old radio that my computer sits on. And I'll turn it down. I'll visualize it being at like 100 or something like that. And I'll turn it down. And that is me choosing where my level of ascension symptoms are going to be occurring. Sometimes I'll turn it down to 2, and it's not meant to cause you disruption. It's not meant to cause you disharmony. It's helping. And when it's not helping anymore, all we need to do is let them know, is to say, no, I'm good. Let's pull this back a little bit, and there's a lot of other things that we could do to help ourselves. Epsom salt baths, doing the earthing thing I was talking about, meditation, 5 minutes a day is not that long. However, it's very impactful. It helps a lot. After a while, you'll find you won't need to do it as frequently. It's just you find that you're in that state more regularly on a natural way. So getting out into nature, like has already been mentioned, there's connecting away from as much society as possible, at least for brief moments of time, allowing yourself to know what your energy feels like. That's the most useful tip I can give you. If you can remove yourself from society far enough, like going into the mountains, going into the fields, whatever it is for you, away from the high density population for a short time and be in that place, to be in your breath, to just enjoy the experience, you will get to feel and notice what you feel like. And when you know what you feel like, then it's easier to understand that it's not you coming in when you're feeling these other things. Like these moments of like weird hostility come in for like 0.5 seconds. It's like, where did that come from? Or like anxiety or things like that. I didn't know for the longest time that those weren't me, and until I got the chance to go pull myself away from society for just a couple of days and feel like and sit in my own energy. So if that's possible for you, then that's really helpful. There's a variety of other things that you can do. There's great meditations that we can find on YouTube. I posted a couple. I do group meditations regularly on Fridays. By the way, we are having a group meeting, a Zoom meeting tomorrow. We have them every Tuesday. It starts at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it goes for 3 hours. And that's so you can come late or leave early if you need to, or come in and out. A lot of people have done that. You don't have to have your audio on or your camera on. You can type your stuff in the chat. If you don't want to use your voice and you want to participate, I'll be your voice. It's really cool, and it's free. There's a bunch of us just having a conversation and just validating your experience and empowering you with the tools that you didn't know you already had. So I hope to see you there. And thank you all for coming. I'm sorry that I have to leave now. I'm so happy to see you, Jacaranda. I've missed you, sister. Hope you're doing well in vacation land. And I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you for your service. Aho blessings.